Hi everyone. Oh, goodness. Excuse me. Hi. Um, this is a Fairfolk video, and it is going to be on gnome houses, or what is commonly referred to as fairy houses. And I'm going to use the older, more traditional term of gnome house. Um, so you all know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to be using the term fairy house because I'm just not particularly comfortable with it. Alright, so now that we've got that out of the way, um, I did a little research, and what I found was that from multiple sources, I found that the idea of the gnome house is only a couple hundred years old, and it is generally accredited to the state of Maine, like in the United States, um, either as the place of origin or as the place of popularization, where it became most popular. Um, And so this idea of the gnome house is really not that old. There are structures that are much older and in the same kind of this basically the same kind of idea. There are cairns that can be treated as, well, they're variously landmarks, monuments to certain spirits, or monuments to certain um, um, certain spirits, kings, queens, ancestors. Um, I believe some of them are actually specifically for particular members of the fair folk. Um, yeah, so if you approach the idea of the gnome house in the same type of genre as the cairn or the shrine or a small temple, I think that is a legitimate way of looking at the gnome house. Um, they were constructed as temporary structures. Um, you would go into a wooded area, and you would um, pick up materials from that wooded area that had fallen from the trees or that was basically just on the ground, and you would construct a temporary shelter-like structure, and you might leave some offering behind inside the structure or next to it for the fair folk. And it was a way of, a token of friendship, um, and a way of asking for help with farming, with harvest, or with growing, or just the process of farming, because in Maine it was kind of difficult, and probably is still kind of difficult, um, to farm because the weather is not always cooperative. All right. Um, so you would have farmers go out and construct these in wooded areas, and then they would leave, and you would expect that structure to rot away and to become again part of the earth, and then maybe you would come back next year or a couple months later, and if your structure was no longer there, it was rotten away, you would construct a new one. And so it was it could also be a type of ritual token of friendship to the fair folk. And I think we should approach the idea of the gnome house in this sort of way. It's not a toy, it's not like a doll house, or it's not even like a bird house, although you can use wooden bird houses as long as the bird house avoids using certain materials like iron. Iron is a big deal to the fair folk. You don't want to use iron nails. You probably want to avoid steel, like steel nails, steel beams, um, anything with iron in it. You probably don't want to use red clay because clay has a lot of natural iron in it. Um, so basically, avoid things with iron. You could probably use aluminum nails, or um, what other kind of nail is there? um, but you don't want to use steel or iron. You could use copper wiring, or pieces of copper. The fair folk appreciate copper. Um, it's really attractive to them. And let me see what else. You can use, if you're going to use wood and you want like a semi-permanent structure, um, you can use any of the sacred woods to the fair folk. Some of them are good for construction and some of them are not. Willow particularly is not very good for construction. Um, I think I have that correct. Willow is kind of a weak wood, and you don't want to use it for making any kind of housing structure. Oak is obviously a good idea. Um, I'm not sure about ash or thorn. I don't know about them. Um, they're the three sacred the three most sacred woods to the fair folk are oak, ash, and thorn. Um, so you can use any of those. I'm not sure. I'm not sure as to the quality of the other two. I know oak is used in all kinds of construction. Um, if you just want to make a temporary structure, then find a wooded area and do what was traditionally done and pick things from the ground and construct your little gnome house. Um, please do not cut on a living tree. If you are making an offering to the fair folk, don't don't cut tree branches, don't pluck leaves, don't do that. That might not go over very well to the spirit of that area, or that might not go over very well with the spirit of the dryad that lives in the tree. Um, if you ask for special permission from the dryad or from the spirit of that place, or even from the deity, from the goddess or from the god, or both, um, then it would probably be okay. But try to avoid doing it. Just pick stuff from the ground. I've seen people use seashells and different materials from the sea. I've seen people use bits of coral. Um, some people have used ivory. I don't think that's a good idea. If something had to die for you to make the structure, definitely make offerings in honor of that death. Um, if you're going to use things like like horn, ivory, bone, some people have used. You can use bone, um, but just be respectful and make the proper offerings and the requests and you know how to. I assume you know how to do this. If you don't, if you want ideas, I can make another video on how to ask the ask dryads or other nature spirits um, for their assistance, or if you want them to give you something like a bit of a tree branch or leaves from a tree or bits of bone, then there are ways to petition for that, and there are ways to respect anything that has died for you to construct this structure. Um, all right, so basically just have respect. You can definitely have fun. You can do all the decoration you want to. Just avoid certain materials like iron. Also avoid salt. I don't know why you would use salt, but avoid salt in your constructing of the gnome house, and don't leave it as an offering. Um, yeah, okay. I think that's all I'm going to say on this subject. It's a little more serious than I wanted it to be. I really think we should be able to have fun, um, and be decorative and be creative and uh, be cheerful about it, but also to give some care and attention to the construction of basically what are shrines to spirits. All right, so that's it. I'm really sorry it was a little bit serious, but all stars shine on your paths, and I'll say bye now. Bye. by All Stars Shine on Your Paths. Yeah.